start with Brett. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
So, Brett, I think the first thing, your name's Brett.
Yeah.
Who is Brett? Where's Brett from? What does he do?
Yeah, thank you. So I've been working in the chemical industry for the better part of 25 odd years. Part of my experience, I've also had the privilege of being able to work at a very, very big fish processing plant where I ran the hygiene department. I did that for a couple of years as well. I've had an opportunity to work with one of the multinational chemical suppliers, Johnson Diversey, for quite a few years. And from Johnson Diversey, I then came to Sentratek, where I was given an opportunity to start the operation here in Cape Town. So we've thankfully been going for the last 12 years as Sentratek in Cape Town, which has been very great. We've been very well received by the industry, which we're grateful for. So that's who I am essentially. I'm very passionate, dedicated to what I do. I believe in keeping customers happy. You can't be in the service industry if you're not giving service at the end of the day. And from the point of view of being able to offer solutions to customers, also because, as I've had an opportunity to work at a manufacturing facility, when I personally would give recommendations and stuff, I try to take production into consideration as well as quality. So whether people like to admit it or not, production makes money, quality spends money. They're normally the handbrake, so that would be like a grudge spend. But the two need to work together, and it's how do you get the solutions to fit together that it gives a favorable solution.
I've got an interesting, it's just piqued my mind now. It's not on our notes for today. Cost of quality. What's the cost of quality?
Well, that's actually a very, very good question. So at the end of the day, I mean, sadly, we still see it, or I still see it in the industry where customers may take shortcuts at times. Where it comes back and bites them at the end of the day is obviously when you get, customer complaints. It obviously affects brand integrity, which obviously has a direct impact on your business. So sadly, we do still see that even in today's times. And we've actually gone so far within our organization to take on another area of expertise, which is called EHEDGE. So EHEDGE focuses on the specific design of equipment to make sure that it can be cleaned properly, where there's other types of equipment that there hasn't necessarily been a standard that has been built for cleaning that type of equipment. We have capability to actually do those studies and build standards for correct cleaning procedures.
So cost of quality obviously is a massive aspect to this. And it reminds me of a conversation I had probably about 15 years ago with someone, an old employer of mine. When everything goes well, you want to optimize, you want to save, you want to reduce, you want to, get the yields up and save on the costs. I think the listeriosis crisis is the opposite, the antithesis of that. Where what was the cost of quality with our listeriosis crisis? Where is enterprise now? It's gone, disappeared. And I think to ask where it went wrong, listeria was in there, and listeria is an interesting bug. Well, we know about listeria, but listeria is in meat. When I'm making a bologna, it's going to be in the meat. So you have to cook it right. You have to produce right. You stick to your production parameters. If you cooked and cooled it correctly, you would have eliminated the hazard, which means that for someone to die of this hazard, there has to have been some form of cross-contamination post-cooking. I don't know what the cause was within the enterprise facility. I have absolutely no idea. But either they didn't cook it properly, which is highly unlikely because they've been making this product for quite some time. So one would think that the cooking process was all right, which means that there was cross-contamination after cooking. Cross-contamination comes from a variety of sources, but ultimately it's addressed by cleaning. Personal hygiene, hand hygiene, facility hygiene, equipment hygiene, process hygiene. Hygiene afterwards would have prevented the contamination. And I think that's why cleaning is such a big thing. So,
well, I mean, exactly to your point. So the way that I see it and would explain it to customers and in general with doing training and things like that, there's three main aspects that need to be clean in a plant. You've got to have a clean factory, you need to have good personal hygiene, and your utensils, which you use to do the cleaning with, need to be clean as well. So if any one of those three is not being cleaned properly, it obviously leads to cross-contamination. And as you were saying now as well, in terms of hands, the one biggest problem in a food plant is something that each of us have got two of, and that is our hands. And I mean, hands touch everything. We cough, we sneeze, we blow our nose, we go to the bathroom. These things are a big, big problem.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here. Gloves, yes or no, in a factory?
I would say no. The main reason I would say that is because a lot of the time that people would then see gloves as an extension of their hands, thinking that they don't need to be clean. But by virtue, they're on your hands, so it becomes your hands. So proper cleaning and sanitation of your gloves needs to be a priority as well.
And I think from my experience, a lot of people forget that they have gloves on, or forget they have hands when they have gloves on.
Yeah.
So they don't remind themselves to go and wash their gloves, sanitize their gloves, replace their gloves, re-wash their gloves, sanitize again.
Yeah.
And so cross-contamination of gloves, I think, is highly possible.
Yeah, and also foreign bodies. I mean, a lot of the time, gloves break. And if you're using just general latex gloves, even though they come in different colors, so it hopefully should stand out. I mean, there's still a strong opportunity for the stuff to actually end up in product. Yeah.
Funnily enough, I've had a number of customers who have had issues with bigger products going into bigger manufacturing facilities.
Yeah.
So they sort of primary processes going into secondary processes. And when recalls happen, because they found a glove when the bulk ingredients went through X-ray detection, the cost of that is massive. So,
Definitely.
I mean, take it as you want. I know some countries expect gloves to be worn at all times. Other countries say it's silly to have gloves. And there is a debate around that.
Yeah.
I think in South Africa, with the auditing fraternity that I've been involved in, gloves is sort of seen as a non-essential item. It's not necessary unless you've got a wound that you have to protect.
Sure.
And the reasoning we've had that locally is because when people dirty their hands or cut their hands, they can feel it. And when they can feel it and see it on their hands, and primarily feel it, then they go and wash their hands. With gloves, sometimes you don't feel the fattiness or the oiliness.
Sure.
You just feel sweaty.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So you've obviously been in industry for a long time, selling soap for a long time, dealing with many manufacturers. Are there any profound or interesting stories that you've had? Any?
Yeah, I think probably one of the interesting questions I've been asked is, do I have a disinfectant to remove allergens? So
It's particularly disinfectant.
Specifically disinfectant, because we would disinfect to make sure that we eradicate, eliminate allergens.
And why do you like allergens is not a laughing matter.
Not a laughing matter, yeah. So the reason the reason why I might find that a bit funny is because we all do what we do every day, and he knows everything, and I think it's a process of how people actually engage together and problem solve together to get to a favorable outcome. Saying that, for this particular person, maybe they didn't know the difference between detergents and disinfectants. Maybe it's something as simple as that, or maybe they just don't understand that to physically remove an allergen, you need to clean it. And having a clean surface, you would then obviously apply your sanitizer or disinfectant.
So for our audience, hopefully our audiences are not all these super food science people. Hopefully it's also the guys in the factories, maybe wanting to learn a little bit more about cleaning. What is the difference between a detergent and a disinfectant?
So a detergent is, like you said, soap. So that is a chemical that you would use for cleaning a surface. So you're either cleaning fats, proteins, blood, slimes, whatever. You would get different combinations of detergents. Either you're going to use a soft metal safe, alkaline detergent, degreaser detergent, chlorinated detergents. So every type of detergent that you would use would have or can have a different application to it. Okay. And then as far as the disinfectant side,
So I think just to stop you there, so a detergent is a soap. And to put that into layman's terms, a soap, like we have soap at home, hopefully most people have soap at home to wash your hands. A soap does a chemical reaction, has a chemical reaction happen where it removes solid material, removes soiling, removes fat. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking whatever might be there and we're removing it from the surface so it is not on the surface, broken down. I think there's a saponification reaction most of the time. That's why it's called soap.
Yeah.
And a wetting action. And that's why we need to rinse afterwards to remove whatever that material is. And the soap allows us to remove it.
Yeah.
Then disinfection happens.
Yeah.
And the disinfection part is where we actually have the activity of breaking down a cell wall, eliminating, killing, inhibiting a bacteria. Primarily bacteria, it's not viruses, I would think.
No, viruses is a different scenario. So, I mean, so the best way to think of it is that 95% of your cleaning results should be coming from your first 4 steps, okay, depending on what type of cleaning it is.
Let's go through the steps.
So your first step to cleaning would always be to remove gross debris, which would be to rinse. After that, you would apply your...
And would that include maybe sweeping?
So
you have to clean, like you have to remove the solid matter.
100%. So if you want to go through a cleaning procedure or methodology of cleaning, if we're going to rinse the surface, we would typically rinse from the top down. Okay, hopefully through the process, we're going to use a bit less water because gravity says everything's going to go to the floor. Any gross debris that is on the floor, you should get a squeegee or broom, collect it together, pick it up, throw it away. Not what a lot of people still do in food plants. They use, hundreds of, tens of thousands of liters of water to take that bit of debris and hose it down the drain, which causes additional problems after the fact. After we've gone and rinsed, we would apply our detergent. So if in this application we were foaming it, we would foam from the bottom up. The reason why it's better to foam from the bottom up is that surface gets full concentration of soap at every point. Again, gravity sinks. So if someone has to walk away from that surface and they haven't finished cleaning it, that foam layer would drop and then you would start again from the point and then go up again. Leave your chemical on for the required contact time, 5 to 10 minutes. Start to scrub. When we scrub, we typically scrub from the bottom up. Again, when I do training with teams, hygiene teams and stuff, I always use guys as an example. If we're washing our car, we would typically start with the roof, come down the windows, come down the door, and then rinse it. And a lot of the time, 9 times out of 10, there's still a dirty spot on the door because all that dirt has run down because you couldn't physically see where you had last.
So when you wash your car, you wash from the bottom up.
You should wash from the bottom up. That way, you're not going to
use the sponge on your tires and then on your car.
Not the same.
Different sponges.
Different sponges. Yeah, exactly.
Different equipment for
different equipment for different things. Different for food contact or non-food contact.
I probably should start washing my car more.
Yeah. So and then after your detergent step, you would rinse again, and after that rinse, 95% of your cleaning results should be achieved, and then only 5% emphasis should then be placed on your disinfectant to.
So to clarify, maybe disinfect. Disinfect means a sanitizer is applied.
So there is a difference to sanitizer and a disinfectant. So the way that I find it easier to think of is a different level of reduction of micro. I'm not sure what the dictionary's definition would be, but a sanitizer is probably something in the range of helps the cleaning process, where a disinfectant would be seen to be something that would physically go out, seek and destroy a microorganism. So
so I think when we talk about regulatory compliance, SANS 10049 in South Africa is the one that we use. We look at regulated or requirements for disinfectants. Detergents also have their own requirements. So I'm referring to the
1828 for the detergent?
1828 and 1853.
Yeah. So
1828 is for the detergent, and that's how effective the detergent is, but it's looking at things like corrosion,
biodegradability.
And 1856 is for the disinfectants.
So 1853 is for
53.
for the disinfectant.
We just changed that.
Yeah.
1853 is for the disinfectant.
Yeah. So
And that looks at a logarithmic reduction. I just want to explain logarithmic reductions for people that don't understand.
Yeah.
So our South African requirements is a log 3 reduction. I believe the EN 1276, the European regulation, is a 5 log reduction. I stand to be corrected. I don't live in Europe. I'll have to go live there and figure it out if I was working in Europe. But South Africa does have a slightly lesser requirement in terms of logarithmic reduction. But what is a logarithmic reduction? Logarithmic reduction, if I have 1,000 CFU, colony forming units, that's how we measure microbiology. But just think of the arbitrary number of 1,000. A 1 log reduction would be reducing it by a factor of 10. So 1,000 becomes 100. 100 becomes 10. 10 becomes 0. So a 3 log reduction is taking 1,000 and eliminating it. Now, it's very difficult to statistically say eliminate. So we normally would talk about a 999 or 9.99 reduction. So we will have 1 cell left. So a 3 log reduction means that 1,000 becomes 0.001. So logarithmic reductions, that's really how we determine it. So to sanitize, I think colloquially we all talk sanitize.
Yeah.
Take a disinfectant, a sanitizing agent, dilute it the way it's supposed to be diluted, allow for contact time, and leave it.
Yeah.
Do you get disinfectants which do not have to be rinsed? How does that work? Because I think a lot of people want to disinfect and leave it there for quite some time, come in the next morning and start working.
Yeah, so I think in South Africa there's no legislation that basically determines at what rate you don't need to rinse a QAC. That's my understanding. I might be wrong, but that's how I understand it. So a lot of the time people wouldn't typically rinse a QAC or quaternary ammonium compound. You get other types of disinfectants as well, which are oxidizers, so your peracetic acid disinfectants. So on a peracetic acid disinfectant, on one of our specific ones at a very low rate, it is classified as a no-rinse disinfectant. But again, we may specify it specifically on a data sheet. The best thing is to obviously read what the data sheet says and take guidance from there. But peracetic acids are great because they break down into oxygen and water to leave major behind.
And they have great logarithmic reduction. Properly.
And also it's that much more difficult for micro to build up a resistance against oxidizing disinfectants.
So I think obviously we've gone down this train of thought now, but we initially thought about or talked about allergens being disinfected.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do that because you can have a soap remove an allergen.
Yes.
But you can't have a disinfectant kill an allergen or inhibit an allergen.
Exactly.
The allergen needs to be removed, and removal comes with the correct detergent, soaps, and scrubbing, and mechanical action and rinsing. So the cleaning process should be able to remove allergens.
Yes.
So most soaps, if we've got a good soap, we're not talking water in a can stuff here, should be able to eliminate the allergen residue.
100%. Eliminate the
sanitize with the disinfectant.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we must move on, sort of segue into practically having chemicals in a facility. Are there requirements? What are the requirements to have a chemical? Obviously, we need to have approved chemicals.
You need to have approved chemicals. I mean, even
what does approval mean? What's the basis of approval?
So approval would be our certification that we have. So your product complies with a standard of SANS 1828 or an EN 1276 certification. So it's a specific criteria to qualify. As you said as well, products are tested for corrosion. They get tested for biodegradability, toxicity, etc. And on the disinfectant side, they're also challenged against a a host of different microorganisms that they have to obviously achieve certain log reduction within a certain period of time. That said, we still to today can find in food facilities people not using certified products.
So when we look at certified, we're looking at SABS certified products. The product is certified.
Or SANS, compliant. Yeah.
So SABS is the authority which does the testing against the SANS standard. So 1828, 1853 are SANS, South African National Standards, and it's the SABS that does the certification. I believe there was a period of time where the SABS laboratories were not accredited. They lost their accreditation standards, and then some of the certification bodies, I know Intertek was one of them, sent products away to European laboratories or maybe even local laboratories, and those local laboratories got certified to do the testing of that standard. So they were issuing SANS 1828 and 1853. So you might find an Intertek certificate. I've seen that. Not sure which other ones have been doing it. I'm sure there are other laboratories that have been approved to do that. And at some point, I actually saw some of the bigger companies, maybe some of the international companies, sending their product away to Europe to do the EN 1276.
That's what we want to do.
So there are other accreditations which people have. Primarily, these are your more popular brands used in food factories that have that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're using a certified product, I mean, you're in a different league compared to a normal chemical, I suppose. Yeah.
So there's lots of different chemical companies out there. We've got a hell of a lot of different ones in South Africa, in Southern Africa, globally as well. Two companies I can think of your company, I think of another company, and food manufacturer goes and gets a quotation. And we're getting 25 liters of whichever detergent or disinfectant. Your one costs 1,200 Rand. The other one costs 800 Rand. I'm buying the 800 Rand one.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's cheap.
Yeah. So
why is yours so expensive, Greg?
So that happens a lot. So from our point of view, if we were going to be going to a potential customer, first thing we need to do is that we're actually comparing apples against apples. So that said, we would look at dilution rates. A lot of the time you might find the 800 Rand canned chemical has got a dilution rate of 4%, where the 1,200 Rand canned chemical has got a dilution rate of 3%.
How do we know? I understand the concept. So the cheap one, you're using more of it to clean the same.
Yeah.
The more expensive one, you use less to clean the same. How do we judge that we're cleaning the same? Because I think the crux of this is the soap must work. Well, how do we actually make an informed decision that the soap works or the detergent works? Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, at the end of the day, every food facility will do in-house validations, which should obviously be in micro. So, I mean, if your work surfaces are clean and you're following the correct methodology, you obviously want to see that result come through.
So, as a QC staff member or as someone running the project, I just go run my hand on the table and feel that the fat's removed.
Yeah, so
I do a swab and see that it's under 100 CFU.
There's different ones. I mean, you can do a protein swab that will give you an indication of residual food source on the work surface. There's ATP, there's micro, which takes a bit longer. In the dairy industry, we make use of a thing called black light technology. So we would physically shine a UV light over work surfaces, and where the protein hasn't been removed properly, it will fluoresce a blue color.
Does that have indicators in it?
It doesn't have any. It's literally on the wavelength of the bulbs inside the
That's quite a useful technology.
Very, very funky.
Are you able to assist us with doing those type of things?
100%. We do it quite regularly.
I think that's a very useful tool. Black light, because you can see it. But so I think judging efficacy is a very important part of this, because when you're comparing apples with apples, you need to make sure that your measure stick is the same.
Yeah.
And I suppose that is the best way. I think the traditional way is obviously the micro testing. I think sometimes protein swabs, although they're good, it's looking at the protein which can get removed, not inhibited. So it shows that the soap works, maybe not necessarily the sanitizer. So you probably want to look at both of those. ATP looks at potentially living cells. I think protein and bacteria are going to have ATP. So
and the dead ones that are there as well.
Exactly. So that's, yeah, I think you probably have to look at multiple ways to observe that.
So just to jump in there. So also you asked questions about the difference between an 800 Rand can versus 1,200 Rand can. So from a Sentratek point of view, we drive a very high standard in terms of our service offering back to the industry. So when I talk about these sorts of tools that we make use of, black light, swabs, we can even use the biofinder spray, so obviously to detect gross accumulation of micro. We've got various tools available to us that we draw expertise from, and expertise within our business, that we draw from. So makes a big difference in the greater scheme of things. You're not just getting 1,200 Rand can of chemical, you're getting certified products, you're getting all the services that come part and parcel with it, free training. We issue test kits to sites as well, which helps with in-house validations. We would come and do routine service calls where if you've got different pieces of equipment, we physically take a sample from those pieces of equipment and give a certificate.
So industry obviously will, if you give industry a pinky, they're going to take your arm.
Yeah.
Normally. What can be expected as reasonable service from a provider, and what is unreasonable? Like I think if a business or a manufacturing facility says, no, any chemical company, you must write our entire cleaning program. So provide policies, procedures, everything. I'm going to say that that's almost shifting the responsibility off the business. The business is still responsible to make sure that the cleaning process that they implement is suitable for their needs. Advice must come from the cleaning chemical company, but I don't know if it's right to ask the cleaning chemical company to develop the entire cleaning program.
Yeah, so typically we wouldn't maybe necessarily be involved with the entire cleaning program, but definitely when it comes to SOPs, we typically work in conjunction with the QA department to draft those documents. So we would draft it, and obviously the customer would need to.
And that's really ensuring that the how-to is communicated properly.
Yeah.
This is how you use our chemical cleaning this piece of equipment.
Yeah.
They can't expect you to dictate how they take apart their piece of equipment. So it's very much a joint effort.
It's very much a collaborative effort, yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you've got more specialized pieces of equipment, you typically might even get OEMs involved to ensure that things are done correctly. Yeah.
Okay. And so have you observed any issues with dilutions? Is there confusion in the industry? Do they understand what they're doing? How best do we manage that?
Yeah, that's actually a very difficult one, to be fair. So what we would typically prefer to do is have equipment installed on site that would give you chemicals at a predetermined rate, which we would set. There's different ways of doing it. There's pumps that do it as water flows through, it will suck up chemicals. There's no electricity required. And you get more complicated forms of dosing outside of that. The challenge comes is that with certain pieces of equipment, they might use a Venturi. Nothing wrong with that. They are, however, dependent to pressure and flow. So again, another reason why it's important for customers to do their own in-house checks on the equipment. Typically, they should do that at least once a week to make sure there's no big fluctuations.
Okay, so you're touching on two things that I've noticed a lot in industry.
Yeah.
Many people come to me and say, no, the chemical company comes once a month and they just double check, they verify my chemicals. Verification is actually something that the company needs to do on a regular basis, at least once a week, preferably once a day before cleaning to make sure that cleaning's at the right dilution. The Venturi effect, that's relating to pressure, water pressure. Water passes over a pipe Venturi, which pulls in the soap. When your water pressure is consistent, it's easy. What happens is Brett comes in the middle of the working day all the taps are off because people are manufacturing. They set this piece of equipment up. It's working 100%. Cleaning comes. Everyone opens all the taps at once. Water pressure drops because it's not one pipe at a time that you're opening. So all your dilutions are out. Because your dilutions are out, they're probably low, which means you're underdosing chemicals. You're using it at a lower percentage. With a cheap soap, this looks amazing because it looks like it's even cheaper. You're not cleaning enough. And ultimately, you end up with an unclean surface, or a surface is not clean like it should be.
Yeah.
Will you pick that up in your micro results?
Oh, I would think you pick it up in your micro results, definitely. I mean, if you're not cleaning a work surface properly and you've got your micro testing or swabs that you're doing on a daily basis after cleans, you're definitely going to see it.
So you will pick it up. So when
the
micro
problem
results,
is you're only picking it up a few days later.
10 days later. I suppose that's a very big problem to have. But most people, they do their micro tests. They say their micro tests are all right. So what's the problem? Until you pick up an anomaly, and then you wonder, chemicals are not working.
Yeah.
Maybe your dilutions are not working.
Could be the dilutions as well. Could be the human factor on that day as well. If had a long day, didn't feel like cleaning. So,
but I think that's another problem with cleaning is availability of time. I'm a strong believer. I've got sort of 7 principles, and I think those that are going to follow me on my podcast are going to learn these 7 embedded in your brain for a very long time, and I'm going to speak about it a lot. But you can't make bad product into good product. So getting good product in is critical. When you've got good product in, you have to process that good product. There's production requirements. If I have to cook it, I have to cook it. If I have to cool it, I have to cool it. So production parameters, if you stick to those, means you will make a good product.
100%.
Cleaning is critical because if I've made good product according to the correct production parameters, everything's perfect. If I've got some sort of cross-contamination after I've used that production parameter, I'm going to have problems. So cleaning is the only way we're going to prevent cross-contamination. As you rightly said, it's your hands, it's your surfaces, and it's your cleaning equipment. Those are the 3 focus points. Make sure we don't cross-contaminate. There's other things as well. There's cold chain. Cold chain is obviously a critical aspect. But if you have not done your cross-contamination and you have eliminated it, a slight break in cold chain might not have drastic effect.
Yeah.
If you have cross-contaminated a product like a pillow, you're going to end up with big problems because a break in cold chain will highlight that issue a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So a focus on making sure that the cleaning happens is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
That any other issue that you might pick up in your supply chain won't necessarily be as bad because you don't have that contamination issue.
Yeah, look, and also, I mean, in terms of cleaning, we can control the soiling on the work surface. We can control temperature, but typically we can't control moisture because we need moisture to clean. And if you get facilities that, from a construction and maintenance point of view, are not ideal, with pooling water, incorrect sloping of floors, that also becomes a very big problem. So things like cross-contamination, people still, obviously, when we have got our legs full of product, even if we one leg off the floor, we're still packing like that. And if people are walking across pooling water and splatting up on product, it becomes a big problem. In my past, I've even seen things like pooling water where you've got mosquito larvae growing.
Jeez. That means they've never cleaned that place.
So, very weird and wonderful thing. So, pest control is also a very big aspect.
So actually what you're saying is, we can do everything in cleaning. We can dilute well, we can clean our cleaning equipment, we can have a strong focus on cleaning, but you cannot neglect the GMPs.
You can't do that. It has to become a complete food safety culture.
I think a lot, pooling water, a lot of pooling water because maybe we haven't designed the floor right. Okay, fine, we haven't designed it correctly. But you can still squeegee the water.
You can still squeegee it. Yeah.
So hopefully it might not be a sloping floor, which it should be, but it must be a flat floor.
Yeah.
If it's an uneven floor, now we have pooling water.
Yeah.
But even if we had an even floor that was flat, we could squeegee to the drain.
100%.
The trouble we have is people drop things on the floor. the drain interfaces. We end up having chips in the floor. We end up having concrete removed, particularly close to where the drains are. And now, just by the nature of the damage to the floor, we end up with pooling water. So regular maintenance, filling in the gaps, making sure those floors are smooth, easily cleanable, sealed,
impervious,
is absolutely critical to prevent potential cross-contamination. Having your dummy crates, when you wash your crates, storing them upside down.
And
these are all absolutely critical elements to ensure that cross-contamination sites do not happen. I'm also thinking of steel tables, stainless steel tables. Give it 10 years in a factory and all of a sudden those things have dents galore. I don't know why they get so dented. I can't understand it.
Production staff are strong.
Yeah. Listen, I've seen them break absolutely everything. You get brooms. I can't believe how many brooms get broken.
Yeah.
Just sweep properly. You don't have to be crazy about it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so that's pretty much everything there is to cleaning. What else is there to discuss with cleaning? The reality is you need to get the basics right and clean at the same time.
100%. And control moisture as far as possible, because as the old saying goes, moisture is micro. So.
And how do you manage dry cleaning? Let's pretend we're in a mill, in a flour mill, or a bakery.
Yeah.
They're not wet factories.
No, they're not. So they tools like vacuum works very well. And just dry cleaning, regular sweeping.
Do you wipe it down with maybe alcohol-based sanitizers?
You can if you want to. I mean, depending on how much time you got, you could even use a normal oxidizing disinfectant. It just depends how much time you have. But in a mold, for example, the last thing you want to do is go and get water on the flour.
Water in an auger, which ends up with this cake of smush that ends up.
Yes. And as you know now, as a new dad, the best way to make a safe glue for your kid is to mix flour and water together, because you're essentially making a glue.
Yeah, it sticks
like anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I see in our notes here we talk about success stories. What does it take to get cleaning right? And I think the big thing is, I think cleaning is one of the essential components to a safe food environment. What does a company need besides buying your chemicals? To effectively have a good cleaning system?
So for me, it's a culture. We just have to accept the responsibility of working in a food facility. We're not necessarily making food for ourselves, we're making food for other people as well. And if we're going to get it wrong, we can either make people happy or we're going to kill it. So it's as simple as that at the end of the day. So that's why for me, it's a holistic approach to
drive that culture.
Well, from a service provider, we obviously try and support our customer to instill that in their teams when we do training and stuff. But we're not there every day. So I think the onus would then obviously fall back onto the customer to drive that food safety culture on a day-to-day basis.
Is it a top-down approach, or do people just rock up with good culture? Or is it like a synergistic thing where you've got the top-down management must be committed, and they must do the training, and they must do, there's a whole lot to food safety culture.
There's a lot to food safety culture. I think the best way to do it is the top-down approach. If I own the food facility and I walk through the production hall without PPE on, why is it not good enough for my staff to do the same thing? If I don't wash my hands after I go to the bathroom, well, why should the teams wash their hands? So to create that culture from the top down is great. You talk about success stories. One of the best things I've ever seen in a food facility in terms of food safety culture is many years ago walking onto a production floor. And in this specific facility, your PPE had to be buttoned up right to the last button. So I'd only buttoned up to the second one. And one of the guys actually came off the line and said to me, "Sir, please, you need to do up your top button as well." So if you want to talk about getting it right, that to me would be the essence of
actually getting the basics right. If your staff get the basics right and have the right to instruct, go to anyone and say you're not doing it properly.
Yeah.
That's an indication that you have got it right.
Then you're doing
And
that.
it has to be done by the top. The top is not
Yeah.
void of doing that.
Yeah. So I'm very much a person. There's no such thing as a bad teammate. It's probably more the leader that is not doing the right things to bring out the best within their team.
And I think sometimes getting it simpler. I think regulation, as much as it can try and enforce things, is not able to necessarily drive it. You know, so I think there's an element of good cop, bad cop, or good reward and then discipline. So discipline, if you're not following it, is necessary.
Yeah.
But I don't think discipline in its own right is going to solve the problem.
No.
You're going to have to reward good stuff as well. And I think I'm thinking of these spaza shops with this massive food safety issues that we have in our country. We've got the laws. The law says we mustn't cross-contaminate. It says we must keep it separate, especially when we're serving food. But the spaza shops, you can't have police or inspectors going to every shop all the time. It comes down to the person that's running the shop. It comes down to the person doing the right thing.
That's responsibility.
And I don't know. I think if anyone's listening to this, get hold of me, figure it out. Let's talk about it. Let's have a chat about it. But we get society, business owners, although the law says we do something, we don't get inspections the way we should. We don't get monitored the way we should. So actually, it's up to us doing the right thing. How do we drive? And this is an open-ended question. I'm not expecting, unless you got the all-knowing.
I don't know the all-knowing.
How do we as an industry, how do I as a food professional who cares about doing things the right way, how do we get to do it the right way? Or how do we support them? How do we get a society to do the right thing? You know, pay your TV license. It's the right thing to do. How do people pay their TV licenses? You know?
As they say, do the right things and the right things will happen. So do the wrong things for long enough, it's definitely going to catch you at some point.
Yeah, so karma, I suppose.
Karma.
Believe in karma.
Believe in karma. Matthew, I just wanted to elaborate a bit more from a chemical point of view, our different divisions or product ranges that we have to offer. We have a food and beverage range, which obviously services the food and beverage industry. That falls under Sentratek.
And so what's that? That's like your processes, your industrial
cleaning type of applications. Food facilities.
You do products, so disinfectants, detergents.
Disinfectants. We do for open plant cleaning and also for CIP cleaning as well. We do quite a lot on the CIP side, but for cleaning in place. And obviously personal care, hand washing, sanitizing, etc. Sanitizers, we do combination of either a liquid or we've got a gel disinfectant. So that'd be on the Sentratek side. And then we've got what we refer to as an institution and laundry range, which is our geochem range. That focuses on things like restaurants, hotels, laundries, kitchens.
So basically everything.
Basically everything, yeah. And then we also have an agricultural range, which we would market to agricultural sector.
Is that under a different brand?
That's under a different brand, which is GEA. GEA, yeah. And then, as I said earlier as well, we've got EH coupled with us as well that supports us in terms of doing.
And tell me, you're also doing equipment. You supply equipment?
We do a range of equipment, yes, for dilution control, different types of foaming equipment at all levels. So we can do as an entry level, as basic as can be. And then we've got world-class technology, which we import the technology from a company called System Cleaners, which is really top-end stuff here.
I've always wanted to design a very simple system, which has a 200-liter drum, with a toilet mechanism, a valve, a floating valve, which when it goes below a certain level, this bore valve opens up and it fills up. So you've always got 200 liters of water waiting for your dilution. You put a small pump at the bottom, It goes to your dosing unit,
Yeah.
and the pump makes sure the pressure is consistent.
For your Venturi operated
You
tanks.
never run out of water. You never have a problem with pressure.
Yeah.
You're probably sitting, if you got one of your drums out, you can buy a drum. Yes. You can probably get a second-hand drum from your cleaning chemical manufacturer.
Yeah.
Pretty much for free.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to cost you another 1,000 rand. It's going to cost you 1,000 rand to set the system up.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got capability to do pretty much anything. Got a local company that supports us with all of our installations, tanks, this sort of system, anything really. So we've got a lot of capability with it.
And then obviously brushware.
Brushware as well.
Hair nets, beard nets, the
We can
PPE.
do the consumables, everything.
That is,
Yeah.
if they're needing anything regarding cleaning, chemical, personal hygiene, we can sort it out through.
Definitely, and at every level. So entry level to
I suppose the best way for them to contact you is get hold of me.
definitely that would be great. Phone Matthew.
phone me, contact me through the interwebs.
Yeah.
But Brett, thank you so much for
Yeah.
joining us. It's been lekker. I hope the session has been informative for you guys listening. If you guys listening have any questions, feel free to send them my way. If you guys have any interesting topics to discuss, I think food safety culture is probably one that we're going to have to talk about a lot.
Definitely.
So I'd like to engage in that topic. I know we've got formal programs to try and assist in building that culture, but having a discussion about culture is a very important thing to do as well. So
100%.
thank you for raising it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for attending, and thank you guys for listening. If you guys have any questions, please give us a shout.